Stacy, I would love it if you'd come home and meet them.
What if I told you the hit sitcom Living Single wasn't just about laughs, love, and friendship, but also carried secrets that fans never knew about? Behind the witty one-liners and unforgettable characters, the cast lived through hidden struggles, untold stories, and shocking truths that never made it to the screen. From real-life tensions to surprising career moves, these revelations changed the way you see the show forever. Get ready, because the stars of Living Single finally reveal what most fans never discovered: Queen Latifah's risky career move. When Living Single premiered in 1993, Queen Latifah was already carving her place in music history. She had built a reputation as a bold, confident rapper who carried authority in an industry dominated by men. But stepping into the role of Khadijah James on a primetime sitcom was not an easy decision. Behind the scenes, executives and critics alike questioned whether doing comedy would damage her credibility as a serious hip-hop artist. Latifah heard the whispers that audiences wouldn't respect her if she crossed over into television, that she would lose her edge in the music world. Yet what most fans never discovered was just how fearless she truly was. She not only embraced the challenge, but also took responsibility for protecting the spirit of the show. Latifah made sure Living Single stayed authentic to black culture, even pushing back against executives who wanted to soften its identity to attract wider audiences. Playing Khadijah wasn't just acting, it was a reflection of her real-life strength as a leader, a businesswoman, and an advocate for representation. While viewers saw her running a fictional magazine, behind the curtain, she was shaping the show's direction, ensuring it stood firm against pressures to conform. It's no exaggeration to say that without her presence, Living Single might not have become the groundbreaking cultural touchstone it is remembered as today. Fans loved Khadijah for her wit and drive, but the truth is, Queen Latifah was taking risks that made history. Kim Fields' secret battles. As Regine Hunter, Kim Fields delivered endless laughs with her obsession for fashion, men, and luxury. She gave the show its sharp comedic edge with one-liners that became fan favorites. But beneath the surface, Fields was facing a challenge that most fans never discovered. Coming off her success as a child star on The Facts of Life, she had spent years trying to reshape her career and prove she was more than just a kid actor. When she joined Living Single, she quickly realized her character Regine could easily be misunderstood. The writers built Regine around materialism, vanity, and comedic exaggeration. But Fields worried that audiences, and worse, Hollywood executives, would see her as nothing more than a shallow performer. She pushed back, voicing her concerns that Regine needed depth, that beneath the wigs and glamorous outfits, she had to be a woman with relatable struggles. This tension with producers created stress, and at one point, Fields even considered walking away from the series. What fans also didn't know was that while she was making viewers laugh on screen, she was quietly building a career behind the camera, directing episodes of television in secret so she could transition when the show ended. Fields fought to balance her love for performing with her need to grow creatively. Fans saw Regine as a comedic diva, but the truth reveals a dedicated actress fighting for respect and carving out a future beyond the sitcom spotlight. Erica Alexander's hidden fight. Maxine Shaw was one of the most beloved characters on Living Single, a sharp-witted, no-nonsense attorney who stole nearly every scene she was in. Fans loved Erica Alexander for her comedic timing and powerhouse presence, but what most never discovered was the struggle she faced when the cameras stopped rolling. Despite her breakout success on the show, Hollywood didn't know what to do with her. Casting directors praised her talent but often dismissed her for leading roles, offering her either one-note parts or asking her to tone down the boldness that made Maxine iconic. Alexander found herself caught in the trap of typecasting, boxed into the sassy black woman role. It was a frustrating reality for an actress who had already made history as the youngest black actress to win 2 NAACP Image Awards. Even after Living Single, she had to fight for every opportunity, working tirelessly to prove her range extended beyond comedy. What fans didn't see was the resilience it took for her to keep going in an industry that didn't always reward her brilliance. Maxine Shaw gave audiences someone smart, unapologetic, and powerful to admire. But Erica Alexander's off-screen journey was just as inspiring. She had to constantly push back against Hollywood's narrow vision, fighting for roles that reflected her true talent. That hidden battle revealed how hard it was for even the most gifted actresses to be fully recognized at the time. Kim Cole's quiet exit. Kim Coles brought a bubbly, lighthearted energy to Living Single. Her innocence and quirky sense of humor made her the heart of the group, and fans adored her sweet chemistry with John Henton's Overton. Yet behind the scenes, Coles faced struggles that most fans never discovered. By the later seasons, tensions were rising between cast members and the network. Storylines were shifting, and Coles often felt that Sinclair's character wasn't being given the same focus as before. The bubbly receptionist who once carried some of the funniest scenes was slowly being sidelined. What hurt more was the lack of communication from producers about her future. Coles eventually stepped away before the final season, but fans were never told the real story. Viewers assumed it was a creative choice, but in reality, it was tied to off-screen frustrations and difficult dynamics that made it hard for her to continue. After leaving, Coles opened up about battling self-doubt and depression, something that weighed heavily on her after saying goodbye to the role that made her so beloved. Fans saw Sinclair as endlessly cheerful, but the truth reveals a woman quietly struggling with her place in the industry. Her exit was one of the biggest surprises of the series, a reminder that even in shows full of laughter, there are often unseen struggles. T.C. Carson's firing. Kyle Barker was smooth, successful, and always ready with a clever comeback. Fans loved watching T.C. Carson's chemistry with Erica Alexander's Maxine. It was one of the show's most beloved storylines. But what most fans never discovered is why Kyle disappeared in the later seasons. Carson didn't leave on his own terms, he was pushed out. Behind the scenes, he had been outspoken about how Fox treated Living Single. He saw firsthand how the network sidelined the show while pouring resources into Friends, a series with an almost identical premise. Carson raised concerns about pay inequality and lack of promotion, refusing to stay quiet when his castmates deserved better. Instead of addressing his criticisms, producers decided it would be easier to cut him loose. His firing was a devastating blow, not just to the cast but to fans who felt the loss of Kyle's charisma instantly. Carson later revealed how painful it was to be silenced for speaking the truth. For viewers, Kyle was the confident professional who had it all together. Behind the scenes, T.C. Carson was risking his career by fighting for fairness, a battle that cost him his place on the show but revealed a courage most fans never knew he carried. John Henton's tragic accident. On Living Single, John Henton played Overton Wakefield Jones, the building handyman with a big heart and endless charm. His comedic timing and lovable personality made him a fan favorite, the perfect balance to the cast's mix of bold and quirky characters. But what most fans never discovered was the tragedy that struck his life after the show ended. In 2000, just a couple of years after Living Single wrapped, Henton was involved in a devastating car accident. The crash was so severe that it left him with life-changing injuries, including damage to his face that required extensive reconstructive surgery. The easygoing smile and familiar look that fans associated with Overton were forever changed. For an actor whose career thrived on visibility, the accident became a heartbreaking obstacle. Though Henton survived, the recovery was grueling, both physically and emotionally. It forced him to step back from the spotlight, drastically slowing the momentum of a career that had once been so promising. Many fans who remembered his warmth on Living Single never knew how close he came to losing everything. What makes his story so powerful is the resilience he showed afterward. Despite the painful setback, Henton continued to perform and even returned to comedy, proving his spirit was stronger than the scars. But hidden beneath the laughter was the reminder that the cast of Living Single faced battles far beyond what audiences ever saw. His accident revealed just how fragile fame and life itself can be. Competition with Friends. When Living Single debuted in 1993, it was groundbreaking, a sitcom centered around 6 black friends navigating life, love, and careers in New York City. The chemistry was electric, the writing sharp, and audiences connected instantly. But what most fans never discovered was how the show was quietly overshadowed by NBC's Friends, which premiered just a year later. The similarities between the two shows weren't coincidental. Executives saw the success of Living Single and decided to create a nearly identical series featuring an all-white cast. From that point on, Friends became NBC's golden child, promoted endlessly with big budgets and heavy marketing campaigns, while Living Single received little support. The cast of Living Single was frustrated, knowing they had built something authentic but were being sidelined in favor of a copycat show. Queen Latifah, T.C. Carson, and others spoke about how unfair it felt to watch their series ignored while Friends skyrocketed to worldwide fame. Fans at home never realized just how much this rivalry shaped the show's trajectory. While Friends dominated ratings and pop culture, Living Single remained underappreciated despite its originality. Behind the laughter and joy of the sitcom, there was an unspoken truth. The cast was fighting a battle for recognition that they were never fully given. Queen Latifah's contract power. Queen Latifah wasn't just the star of Living Single, she was also its silent protector. What most fans never discovered was how much influence she carried behind the scenes. By the early 90s, Latifah had already established herself as a force in music, and she used that star power to negotiate not just for herself, but for her castmates as well. While the network saw the show as small compared to its competitors, Latifah made sure the actors weren't being shortchanged. She pushed for fairer contracts, better pay, and respect for the ensemble, proving that she wasn't just Khadijah James on screen, but a real-life leader. Without her presence, the cast might have faced even more exploitation from an industry known for undervaluing black performers. She carried a responsibility that viewers never knew existed, balancing her own music career with protecting the integrity of the sitcom. Fans saw her running Flavor magazine with wit and determination, but behind the curtain, she was negotiating with executives, making sure Living Single remained a show where its cast could thrive. Her quiet power revealed that the series' strength came not just from its writing, but from the leadership of a woman who understood how to fight for what was fair. The cast was blindsided by cancellation. For millions of viewers, the end of Living Single felt sudden, but what fans never discovered was just how devastating the news hit the cast. After 5 seasons of laughter, love, and groundbreaking storytelling, the actors believed they had more time left. They had built a rhythm, a loyal fan base, and a cultural stamp that was undeniable. But instead of being given a proper farewell or even a respectful heads up, most of the cast found out in the most unceremonious way through industry gossip and media reports. Imagine showing up to work week after week, thinking you were part of something solid, only to hear secondhand that it was over. The cancellation was not only shocking, it was humiliating. Hollywood has always been ruthless, but this felt personal. For a show that had changed the landscape of television by putting young black professionals front and center, the lack of closure was heartbreaking. There was no grand finale designed to honor the journey, no official goodbye to wrap up loose ends. The cast had poured their souls into these characters, and the fans had built deep connections with them. To have it all end without dignity felt like a betrayal. Even decades later, cast members still talk about how abrupt and painful that ending was. It wasn't just the end of a sitcom, it was a harsh reminder that in the entertainment industry, even history-making shows could be tossed aside without warning. A Regine spin-off was planned. Regine Hunter was more than just the flashy, fashion-obsessed roommate, she was a scene stealer, the kind of character who made you laugh even when you didn't agree with her antics. Played brilliantly by Kim Fields, Regine became a fan favorite, and behind the scenes, producers noticed her magnetic pull. What fans never discovered is that at the height of the show's success, a Regine-centered spin-off was already in the works. Executives believed her high-maintenance lifestyle and endless search for love could fuel an entire sitcom on its own. Ideas for the spin-off began floating around, Regine moving to another city, navigating new friendships, and balancing her love of luxury with the harsh realities of independence. Some drafts suggested a glamorous job in fashion, others imagined her chasing wealthy suitors with hilarious outcomes. It was clear there was a serious belief in Regine as a leading lady, but just as the project began to gain traction, it was abruptly shelved. Some insiders blamed budget cuts, while others whispered that network executives simply didn't want to invest more into a black-led franchise when they were prioritizing other projects. For Kim Fields, it was a crushing disappointment. A spin-off could have cemented her as a household name beyond ensemble roles, opening doors to even bigger opportunities. Instead, the idea faded away, leaving fans with nothing but the what-ifs. To this day, many wonder what Regine's solo adventures might have looked like, and how television history could have shifted if the spin-off had come to life. Living Single wasn't just a sitcom, it was a game-changer. Behind the laughs were battles, struggles, and secrets most fans never knew. And now that you do, it's clear this show shaped television more than it was ever credited for. So here's the question: what would TV look like today if Living Single had gotten the spotlight it truly deserved? If you enjoyed uncovering these hidden truths, make sure to subscribe, tap the bell icon, and share this video. Let's keep the story of living single alive where it belongs, front and center,